The rumors swirling around the internet suggest that Steve might be expecting a new addition to his family with Michelle. Now, if these rumors hold any weight, we must extend our congratulations to them. A new baby is a beautiful blessing. However, this off-screen joy translates to an agonizing on-screen purgatory for the fans. The writers are forced to trap Jason in this legal nightmare because the actor might need to prioritize his growing family over the relentless filming schedule of a daytime soap opera. Let us dissect the psychological motive behind Jason covering for Rocco. We know Jason has always been the sacrificial lamb of Port Charles. He gave up his entire identity, his future, and his peace of mind to become the shield for the Corinthos organization and his loved ones. But covering for a teenager who shot a rogue WSB agent? That is an extreme level of self-sabotage, even for him. I suspect that Jason is operating under a heavy burden of guilt and misplaced loyalty. By taking the blame for Rocco, he is trying to protect Dante and Lulu from the unforeseen fallout of their son becoming a murderer. But in doing so, Jason is completely abandoning Carly when she needs him the absolute most. Carly is currently orchestrating a wildly dangerous break-in at Windermere with Lucas to save Jocelyn. Without Jason to act as her tactical anchor, Carly is walking into a potential slaughterhouse. This absence is not just an inconvenience, it is a catastrophic void. You have to wonder how much of this current storyline was a calculated move by the writers to accommodate a potential paternity leave. If there is no official confirmation that Steve is back on set filming for the early July episodes, then we have to assume the worst. The writers cannot simply have Jason vanish into thin air without a trace, not again. They already played the amnesia card, the presumed dead card, and the mercenary card. So, what is left? Incarceration. By locking Jason away for a crime he did not commit, the writers create a holding pattern. It is a brilliant, albeit frustrating, strategy. They keep him on the canvas in spirit, his name constantly mentioned by a panicked Carly or a guilty Rocco, but they do not need the actor physically present on set. This situation creates a massive shattered trust dynamic between the fans and the showrunners, as we are left dangling on the hook of false promises, waiting for a return that might be delayed indefinitely. Let us break this down into two distinct possibilities. Scenario A, the rumors are entirely true, and Steve is taking an extended leave of absence to be with Michelle and their new family addition. If this is the case, it looks like Jason's going to be transferred to Pentonville for the foreseeable future. Could it be that the writers will use this extended prison stint to completely break Jason's spirit? Imagine the psychological toll of sitting behind bars, knowing that Carly is risking her life at Windermere, knowing that Jocelyn is being held captive by a madman, and being entirely powerless to stop it. This implies that the writers are setting up a massive tragedy. Without Jason's protection, someone is going to get seriously hurt. We might see Carly captured alongside Liesel and Jocelyn, leaving the entire rescue mission in the hands of an ill-equipped Lucas. The unforeseen fallout of Jason's prolonged absence in Scenario A would fundamentally alter the power dynamics of Port Charles. Furthermore, under Scenario A, we must consider the devastating impact on Rocco. Rocco is already a teenager on the edge, terrified and on the run, with a deteriorating Brit. If he finds out that Jason is rotting in a federal penitentiary for a bullet that he fired, the guilt will consume him. This is a classic soap opera recipe for disaster. Rocco might do something incredibly reckless, like abandoning Britt to turn himself in, which would effectively sign Britt's death warrant given her worsening Huntington symptoms. The shattered trust between Rocco and Dante would be irreparable. Dante, a sworn officer of the law, would be forced to choose between his son's freedom and the truth. All of this chaos, all of this emotional devastation, stems directly from Jason's inability to be a free man. And if that inability is dictated by real-world family planning, the fans are in for a grueling, months-long saga of misery where the heroes constantly lose. Now, let us pivot to Scenario B. What if the pregnancy rumors are completely unfounded, or at the very least, what if they are not the reason for the delay? Could it be that the writers are orchestrating a massive misdirection? It looks like Jason's imprisonment might be a highly calculated move to position him exactly where he needs to be. Think about it. Ross is a dirty agent working with Jens. The WSB is compromised. Perhaps Jason allowed himself to be arrested for Rocco's crime because he has an ulterior motive that requires him to be on the inside. This implies that Jason is secretly working with someone, maybe even the mysterious head of the WSB, to dismantle Jens's network from within the prison system. If you ask me, Jason is too smart to just sit in a cell and do nothing while Carly and Jocelyn are in mortal danger. He is playing a long game, a game so secretive that he cannot even clue Carly in on the plan. If scenario B is the reality we are dealing with, then we have to ask ourselves who Jason is communicating with on the outside. With Valentine risking his freedom to expose Ross to the WSB, could it be that Valentine and Jason have formed an unholy alliance? Valentine operates in the shadows, and Jason is the master of silent execution. This would be a fascinating, calculated move that completely blindsides the audience. While we are all distracted by off-screen rumors about Steve and Michelle, the writers might be secretly filming covert scenes where Jason is pulling the strings from his cell. However, this strategy relies heavily on the assumption that the writers are actually capable of executing such a complex, multi-layered narrative without leaving massive plot holes. Given the recent track record, my skepticism is at an all-time high. The shattered trust between the writers and the audience makes it incredibly difficult to believe they are playing four-dimensional chess. Regardless of whether scenario A or scenario B plays out, the undeniable victim in all of this is Carly. Carly has spent decades relying on Jason as her ultimate safety net. Every time she falls, he is there to catch her. Now, she is preparing to storm Windermere with Lucas. This is a woman driven by pure, unadulterated maternal desperation. The psychological motive behind Carly's actions is clear. She will burn the world down to save Jocelyn. But without Jason, her desperation makes her sloppy. She is walking right into a trap. If Jason were free, he would have meticulously planned the extraction. He would have neutralized Ross before Ross even knew what hit him. Instead, Carly is relying on a doctor to help her execute a tactical infiltration. The unforeseen fallout of this reckless behavior could result in Carly becoming a captive herself, locked in the dungeons of Windermere alongside Liesel and Jocelyn. And Jason will have to sit in his cell and listen to the news of her capture. What truly fuels my skepticism is the deafening silence from the studio. There has been absolutely no official confirmation regarding Steve's return to the set. In the world of daytime television, silence is rarely golden. It is usually a giant red flag. If Steve were scheduled to make a triumphant return in early July, the public relations machine would be in overdrive. We would be seeing leaked photos, teaser promos, and vague but exciting interviews. Instead, we have nothing but crickets and unverified rumors about Michelle's potential pregnancy. This lack of communication is a calculated move by the network to keep the fans strung along, tuning in every single day in the desperate, agonizing hope that they might catch a glimpse of their favorite enforcer. It is a manipulative tactic that preys on the loyalty of a fan base that has supported this show for decades, leaving us completely in the dark. Let us take a moment to analyze how real-life events shape the fictional universe we invest so much time. If Steve and Michelle are indeed expecting, it is entirely understandable that he would want to step back. Family always comes first, and the grueling schedule of a soap opera leaves very little room for personal milestones. But from an analytical standpoint, the timing could not be worse for the narrative. The writers have built up this massive, explosive climax involving Jens, Ross, the WSB, and the captive women at Windermere. To remove the primary action hero from the board right before the final battle is a baffling decision. It forces secondary characters to step into roles they are not equipped for. We are seeing Dante, Chase, and even Lucas being thrust into the spotlight to carry the action sequences. While they are capable, they do not possess the same lethal efficiency or the deep-rooted emotional history that Jason brings to a rescue mission. The narrative feels hollow without him. Furthermore, there is a profound injustice being done to Jason's character history. Jason has spent the better part of his adult life paying for the sins of others. He has been shot, stabbed, thrown in the harbor, and brainwashed. To have him currently sidelined by taking the blame for a teenage boy's panicked mistake feels incredibly anticlimactic. It lacks the grand, operatic drama that we associate with Jason's sacrifices. It feels like a convenient excuse to put him on ice. The ulterior motive of the writing team is glaringly obvious. They needed him out of the way, and they chose the easiest, most frustrating route possible. This decision not only alienates the fans, but it undermines the intelligence of the character. Jason knows that Carly and Jocelyn are in the crosshairs of ruthless killers. For him to willingly bench himself out of a misplaced sense of duty to Rocco is completely out of character. It is a forced narrative designed solely to accommodate an off-screen absence. So, Where does this leave us, guys? If you ask me, we are looking down the barrel of a very long, very painful summer. The rumors surrounding Steve and Michelle, whether true or false, have cast a massive shadow over the canvas. We are watching a story unfold with its most critical piece missing. I predict that we will not see Jason walk out of those prison doors anytime soon. The writers will continue to drag out this legal nightmare, using Jason's incarceration as a crutch to delay his involvement in the main storyline. Carly will face catastrophic consequences at Windermere, Rocco will buckle under the weight of his guilt, and the villains will continue to run rampant. Do not expect a neat, tidy resolution by July. The gridlock is firmly in place, the true motives remain hidden, and the fate of our favorite enforcer is left entirely to the mercy of real-world circumstances that we have absolutely no control over. The board is set, but the knight has left the table.